What's going on, YouTube? Adam here. I'm with Tommy.
Hi guys.
And today we're going to be covering Team Synergy finally.
Yeah, took us a while. Adam had to get an editor, so
Yeah, I finally got a video editor again, so that's pretty nice. But to start off, what is Synergy?
synergy is how you get your Pokemon to work together to cover your weaknesses. Every team's going to have their weaknesses, but by having good synergy, you can usually overcome them. It's very important to make sure everything on your team has a purpose, because if it doesn't, you're just wasting a slot on your team.
By that we mean oftentimes people will see, you know, what is labeled as the strongest Pokemon right now, throw it on their team, and they'll lose because they don't know what it does.
Or they already have something covering its weakness.
Yeah. So the first thing you want to do when you start building your team is figure out your core. We're going to be covering three types of cores. First would be Voltron cores. The second would be offensive cores, and the third would be defensive cores. So, starting off with Voltron cores, Tommy.
The Voltron cores are really, really interesting because they abuse the moves Volt Switch and U Turn. These moves let you attack, do damage, and switch out into something else. They can be really good because uh, when the other team hard switches, you can use them to get a read on what they're doing before you switch out. This can often lead you into favorable matchups, and it can get you into opportunities where your sweepers can set up or where you can just wall them and begin to disrupt them with status or whatever your wall is set to do. But these cores have an issue because the switch isn't guaranteed to be good for you. Sometimes they'll switch and you'll go for a U-turn, and the best thing you have for that mon is what just used U-turn or volt switch. At the same time, because you only have a couple switches in the later games, it can be very predictable who you would go out into. Overall, Voltern cores are pretty decent, but they're not the best to build a whole team around.
Um, Next will be the offensive cores. Your offensive cores, when you're building these, you want to focus on your stab damage because these Pokemon often have really high stats, and couple them with stab, you're doing extreme damage. Coverage moves, your extra slots. Something you want to be careful with when you're going over coverage moves is you want to pick moves that support your other Pokemon's weaknesses, not your own. It's important to do this because actually I have a little scenario right here. So Garchomp versus Sylveon. Say you give your Garchomp Iron Head to take on fairies. So Garchomp attacks Sylveon, takes about 70% damage, pretty good. And then Sylveon attacks Garchomp. Well, Garchomp dies from the Sylveon. Not a good matchup for you. What you could do instead, switch Garchomp into, say, an Aggron. Aggron can kill the Sylveon without taking very much damage from the Sylveon. It works out. This goes into the obvious downsides of the offensive cores. When you're facing walls, you're often not doing enough damage to take them out before they take you out because they have good sustain and they're designed to beat you. And when you're facing a stronger offense, they're going to take you out before you take them out, same as before, like with the Sylveon Garchomp. Yes, Garchomp's strong, Sylveon's stronger due to type matchup. Anything else?
Offensive cores are also weak to being outsped. Sometimes it's not even the fact that they have stronger mons, it's the fact they have faster mons. Like if you look at the base power of a Greninja, it's pretty strong, but a Landorus exceeds it. However, Greninja would win in a head-to-head matchup because it outspeeds it and gets enough damage. So you have to watch out for a lot of speed stuff when you go offensive.
Finally,
And
our
now
last
on
core.
to the last one, the one that beats offense, defense. Defensive cores are some of the best or worst depending on the matchup. They are very annoying to say the least when you can't beat them because they have low damage, but they win a lot because they can sustain. Now, the reason why you pick a defensive core is to be able to sponge hits from offensive teams and then be able to deal with them in ways such as toxic stalling, uh, the basic take a hit, dish a harder hit back, etc. So, defensive cores, they do have weaknesses such as low offensive power, making them a little bit longer to play out, leaving them more vulnerable to RNG. If you've ever played a defensive team, you know that crits are one of the worst thing in the world. A lot of times, other things such as like a freeze on your turn you were going to heal up, that can really screw you over and lose you the game. Because you're not killing things as fast, the other team will have a little bit more time to understand and prepare what you're going for. So when you're playing defensive, most of the times it comes down to can you get ahead of them in the early or middle of the game to have an advantage to win with.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind when you're building your teams is take different uh, strategies from every single core we mentioned. Say you want to run Voltron, Tornadus is a good example. It gets access to U-turn and it also has Regenerator. So you're doing damage and you also have Sustain when you switch back in.
Yeah. It also does pretty decent damage, so you could use it on offensive teams. Typically, offensive teams, since they don't really have as many uh, ways to take a hit, you want to add some defense onto them.
Oftentimes, Pokemon like Mega Metagross or Aggron, they can be really scary because they're bulky offensive. They soak up a lot of damage and they dish a lot back out. So it's
Yeah, but those things usually don't have the utility, the disruption, or the switch initiative that other mods have.
it's the biggest thing is when you build a team, make sure it works together. It synergizes. It you need to know the ins and outs of your team. You can switch in to any move if need be, and hopefully return enough damage to pull out victorious.
Yeah,
Obviously, in Pokemon, no one can win every game, but you can prep to do well.
yeah. When you're prepping, make sure you're following typing stuff too, unless you're making a weather team. But we'll talk about that in a future video. Um, Generally, having good type coverage across your walls, if you're putting walls on your team, maybe for a defensive team or for to build up on a Voltron or offensive team, you want to make sure your walls cover each other's weaknesses. You don't want to put a bulky Caesar and a bulky Ferrothorn on the same team because then you'll just get destroyed by fire.
Mm-hmm. But
But as for as for the rest of synergy, it's all about learning what you're good at understanding, what your Pokemon can do for themselves.
I think that's all we got for today. Hope you guys learned something. Thanks so much for watching. Tom, you got anything else to add?
You guys should leave comments We like reading them, but we keep getting CMEA comments. So
Sure, so.
if you guys want, just talk to us in the comments. Any questions, anything that you think needs more explanation, hopefully we can explain it to you over the comments. And if not, we might have to make more videos.
Feedback's great, guys. Let us know what you want to see next. Have a good day. See you guys later.